Hello everyone, it's Chris. This is going to be my episode 8 review of The Expanse. I was instructed and advised on my last video, I believe, by a commenter, thank you, that I should give a fair warning to everyone that these videos, I'm comparing the books to the show, and inadvertently I do my best not to introduce spoilers, but sometimes it's just impossible when you're talking about the book and the TV show to not have some spoilers, especially if you haven't read the books yet and you consider me telling you things that happened in the books before you read them spoilers. Just wanted to get that out there, that is something that might happen in these videos. So if you don't want to know anything about the books, I would avoid these videos until you've read the books. Okay then, coming in at number 10 is Pastor Anna. Although she wasn't in this episode for very long or very often, I loved this moment at the beginning, as it is a strong example of who she was in the books, and thankfully, who she is in the show. Anna was one of my favorite characters who participated in the events that are about to unfold, you know, if the show follows the book. So seeing this little moment at the beginning with her, you know, was perfect. It was nice that they also introduced her new lush, rich friend Tilly in this episode, you know, even if it was only marginally. Coming in at number 9 is Missing Details. You know, I was concerned after the last episode that the decision to jump so far ahead in time and plot development, without any explanation really, would be a problem going forward. It feels like I was right. You know, from Naomi having left, to why Monica and the documentary crew are on the Rossi, to Melba and her crusade of violence against Holden, so many important story beats have been removed, skipped over, or, you know, ignored completely, and it makes me worry a bit. It's entirely possible that they could be doing a reveal everything at the end kind of thing with all of this, but I just don't think it works as well. For instance, in the books, we know who Melba is. We know what she is doing and why at the beginning. We see Pastor Anna meet and become unlikely friends with Tilly Fagan, which is incredibly important down the road. We are introduced to Dr. Hector Cortez, the leader of the religious folks on the Thomas Prince, which is also critically important to this story arc. The list goes on. The story just doesn't feel as well crafted as what we have come to expect, and, you know, that's frustrating. Number 8, Holden's nervous breakdown. Look, I know I harp a lot about the books, and usually I'm saying how things were so much better in the books, but I do recognize when things are improved upon in the show. Drummer's character is a shining example of this, as is watching Holden in this episode deal with the effects of The Haunting by Josephus Miller. In the novels, he has Naomi there, and very quickly he shares with her, and only her, what is going on. This, coupled with having a longer span of time to deal with this new reality, means that you really don't see him have any breakdown moments. He deals with fear and some anxiety and all of that stuff, but it doesn't really manifest itself in the way that you see in the show. I always thought it was a little far-fetched to have this happen, even to someone who has dealt with the protomolecule, and it not drive them a little loopy at first. That just seems a stretch. And number 7, I have Melba's emotion. Looks like I'm on a this was better in the show tip right about now, doesn't it? Enjoy it. It might not last long. So yeah, I love seeing Melba deal with the fact that she just had to end the life of a mostly decent human being to pursue her larger goals. In the novel, she didn't really dwell on any of it that much. It affected her, but not to the level that you see in the show. Her character always felt like she had gone through that, you know, that procedure that makes you into a sociopath that the Ganymede and Io scientist went through, which made her completely uninteresting to me. The one thing I do miss, though, is how she hid the body in the novels. In the novels, she transferred the body to the ship she was stationed out of and sealed it up in a locker in her room, which meant it was always looming there in the background. It was a great metaphor for her actions, you know, coming back to haunt her later, etc. It also showed her ability to think on her feet, prepare, and be precise, which, again, I think is important for a character. So that was a little bit missing. But all in all, vastly improved from the novels. Number 6, Drummer and Naomi. Yeah, so I'm in love with Drummer's character. I'm not going to lie. Seeing her rage against the dying of what she perceives as the soul of the Belter while doing her part to quicken that demise is just great. And man, her Belter accent, next to Anderson Dawes, is my favorite one on the show. And this is another interesting change from the books as well. The 3 people in command of the behemoth in the books do not like each other, which is a narrative tool for the novels. I really like seeing Drummer and Naomi being friends here. It gives a deeper dimension to how things play out, as they represent 2 of the 3 sides of the argument about who the Belter should become. Number 5, we have Amos, the grief counselor. There were a few great moments with Amos in this episode, but I chose to focus on this one since it is a deepening of his character. The way he reacts later when the Rossi has a mind of its own and when Holden is acting strange, those are moments we have come to expect from him. They're within the character as we know it. But a quiet, sincere moment with Holden where he is offering not only a sympathetic ear, but permission to process through his emotions by breaking things Amos has to fix, by the way, was great. The more three-dimensional they make Amos, the better this show is, so it was nice to see another example of that here. Coming in at number 4, Melba's grand plan. Right, so I'm trying to reserve my opinion on how this played out until the next episode, but from where I am sitting right now, this was not handled well at all. Nothing about what is happening makes any sense if you don't have the context of the books to fall back on. I get that they had to excise some content when adapting this to the screen, but they trimmed a good amount of meat with that fat, which has left the whole thing dry and flavorless. And now I'm hungry. Shouldn't have used that food metaphor. So I would love to fill in the gaps here, but it's impossible to do so without spoiling everything about the Melba storyline completely. If they don't cover this in the next episode or 2, I could do a one-off video where I talk about what is really going on with this story point. If you are interested in that, let me know in the comments, and we'll see what happens. Number 3 is Naomi in distress. And so now we see the reason that the writers moved Naomi to the behemoth. In the novel, she is on the Rossi at the time of the hacking and missile targeting, which makes this moment completely different. In the novel, she is absorbed in the task of finding the hack and deactivating it while the world is burning down around them. You contrast that with Naomi on the behemoth being held prisoner while her ship and the man she loves is being targeted by the very ship she is on. Well, that is a much, much more dramatic moment. It does, of course, create a problem in that Naomi is the only one capable of removing the hack that has taken over the Rossi, and she is on another ship restrained by fellow Belters. I'm excited to see how they get out of this plot hole, in the next episode. Coming down to the wire here, number 2, Enter the Ring. I actually liked how they handled this. In the novels, it always felt like the relationship between Proto-Ghost Miller and Holden was, one way. Miller showed up when he wanted to and when he needed something. Having Holden be able to invoke, if you will, the shade of Miller to help out was very cool. It makes their relationship going forward potentially much more interesting. The way they are handling the ring is pretty interesting too, and not really accurate from a source material standpoint. From the final moments of the episode, it looks like they are suggesting that it either freezes time or slows down time. That's interesting. It might be better for television than what the novels describe. Well, we'll have to wait and see. The real test will be in the next episode. The area inside the ring becomes a pretty important area in the novels. Learning how to play by the rules that exist there is a key component to making things work in the future. And of course, number 1 with a bullet, Miller returns. And this, friends, is the best adaptation in my mind that has been done on the show thus far. The first few times we see Miller interact with Holden, he is saying cryptic, almost gibberish phrases. However, they are incredibly important pieces of cryptic gibberish. In essence, they are using Miller to begin to explain the protomolecule. In the novels, we have exposition, from the point of view of the protomolecule, to start filling in gaps. But you can't really do that in film or on TV, so they moved that to Miller, making it a part of how he is, processing his new existence. If you go back and listen, he is telling you what he is, why he exists, and what the protomolecule is doing, what its purpose actually is. I also love the way that they portrayed the not quite rightness of Miller, the buffering and frame skipping, if you will, suggesting that he's not just a ghost or a hallucination, but something more, something technological. The relationship between Proto-Miller, as I'm going to be calling him, and Holden is one of my favorite parts of the story at this point. And it does look like they are going to do a great job of translating that to screen, which is extremely exciting. And that's it for me. Just so you know, this video was longer. Obviously, it's a top 10 instead of top 5 or 6 like I've been doing lately. And that was just in response to some comments I got on a previous video that it would be nice to see something a little longer and have me talk more about what happened in the episode. So I'm trying it out. If you liked it, let me know in the comments and I can keep doing it. I think that's it. With that, I'll just say, hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Like I've said before, thumbs down if you didn't. It helps me know how well the video is doing, good and bad. And subscribe if you're not. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss a new video. And I will see you in the next one.